Hello everybody. Are you all ready to read about comets? Have you heard of comet? A comet that appears in the dark sky, zooming from somewhere to somewhere with a long tail, and you can follow it, you can see it. Have you seen one? Have you observed it? You can certainly see it on a very dark night. Lots of stars and a comet, and it just zooms past. Today we are going to read about comet. There are two lessons, the comet 1, the comet 2, and today we are going to look at both these lessons. But first, the first lesson, the comet. We are going to know a little more about these comets, but before we do that, I want you to look at page 73, the Comet 1. Have you opened it? Look at that page, the beginning. It says, before you read. Let's read that. A new comet has appeared in the sky, and it is heading straight for the earth. It's coming in the direction of the earth. A head-on collision, which is nearly unavoidable between the comet and the earth. A head-on collision, nearly unavoidable, will mean the end of life on this planet. And if that comet here hits this earth at such a great speed, it's the end of our planet. Scientists and religious leaders react to this situation of the comet having a head-on collision with the earth in two different ways. What happens in the comet? Let's see. Okay, now look at section 1, and let's look at those 3 points given on top. Dattada, an amateur scientist, can't stay away from the keen-eyed Divya Chakshu for long. Divya helps him achieve his ambition. Dattada's wife, Indrani Devi, wishes he hadn't found the object of his search. 3 important things there. So, let's see what happens in the story. Dattada is an amateur. Some people say amateur, but that's not the correct pronunciation. The correct pronunciation is amateur, amateur. So try and say amateur. So an amateur astronomer who has a small telescope, and it's an 8-inch long telescope, just about this big. Have you seen a telescope? Do you have one? I'll show you something else, not a telescope. You can see the picture. Do you know what this is? What is this? This is called a binocular. So I put the string around me, and then I can see things. So the distant things can come very far. This is a binocular. So this is not a telescope. You can see the picture of a telescope on your screens now. But today we are going to talk about a telescope and a comet and so on. Dattada, his name is Manoj Datta, is an astronomer. Not a professional astronomer, but somebody who is interested in astronomy and very deeply. And he always wanted to have a telescope for himself, so that he could view whatever he wanted. But he could not afford one. And when he retired, from the money he got, he managed to get 2 things. Number 1, he managed to buy a small 8-inch telescope. And number 2, he had lot of time. He could sit in the balcony at night and watch the stars, the galaxies, watch everything in the sky with his small telescope. Very happy man. Right. His wife, Indra Devi, was very angry with him. Why was she angry with him? Because he had this telescope which he named as Divya Chakshu. So it was Divya Chakshu. Chakshu is something that shows you something, a vision, a sight. So he called it Divya Shakti, and his wife Indrani Devi was very angry with his Divya. She called it Divya, you and your Divya. I don't know where she came from, and now you don't sleep at all, and you sleep for some time, get up, go to the balcony and start watching. You can see the picture on the next page. Open the picture and you can see him watching the stars at night. How he is enjoying, how happy he is with his Divya Chakshu. Good. Who is an amateur? An amateur is the opposite of a professional. A professional is somebody who does something as a profession to earn money for living, for his everyday bread and butter kind of thing, and that's a professional. You can be a professional photographer. An amateur is somebody who is just interested in it, interested in an activity, just like that. And he enjoys in that activity. For example, if an amateur photographer, then I might have a small camera, a good one, and I might take a few pictures here and there. I'm not really for earning money, but just for my pleasure. And so he is an amateur as opposed to a professional. Know both these words. Okay, right. Dattada was an amateur astronomer. He's an astronomer, but an amateur. Good. As we said, he enjoyed watching the sky every night. Let's look at that paragraph there. Last paragraph on page 74. To Dattada, the telescope marked the fulfillment of the ambition of a lifetime. Very happy. He was an amateur astronomer. He always wanted to look at stars. He never wanted to make any money from that, but he wanted to enjoy. And so he had this telescope which he installed there, and once he got his telescope, he had a secret ambition. What was the secret ambition? Turn to the next page, page 75, look at the top of the page. Like every other amateur astronomer, Dattada had a secret ambition. And what was that secret ambition? That he would one day discover a new comet. Oh, right. Let's continue and read there. Comets can be new, coming as they do from remote corners of the solar system. And comets also orbit around, and sometimes they go close to the sun, and then you can see the tail. It has a longish tail that's brilliantly lit because of the sunlight and so on, and so on. And you don't see comets very often, but when you see them, you see a good comet. And when you see a comet which lasts for a long time, it comes rarely, not very often, and so on. Good. So, Dattada was interested in comets. Good. What were the professional astronomers interested in? Look at that there. The professional astronomers were interested in the galaxy, in all these planets, their movements. And they were not interested in this small thing called a comet. No, they were not interested. They were interested in stars, Milky Ways, galaxies, movement all over, all kinds of things. So Dattada was very happy that he was interested in a comet, a small little comet. Now what happens? One fine day, he discovers a new comet. Very happy. Nobody has seen it so far. He has seen a new comet. It's just born, And so now he announces that he had seen a new comet. And 2 days later, Anand Bazar Patrika, which is a very well known newspaper in West Bengal, in Kolkata, announces the news. It says, for example, look at the bottom of the page there. This is what it says. Calcutta man discovers new comet. Oh, his name. From our own special correspondent. So there's a news there. Sri Manoj Datta, a resident in northern outskirts of Calcutta, has claimed to have discovered a new comet. That's a news item. He has seen the comet on the last 2 nights and has informed the Indian Institute of Astrophysics at Bangalore. So he has informed them. So the message has gone there of its whereabouts. Where is this comet, etc., etc. So, and this institute in Bangalore has spread it all over the world. But before they did that, they checked on this comet and found that yes, this Datta's discovery is correct. And it is a very important discovery. And everybody, all the astronomers in the world are very happy, very pleased, thrilled that there is a new comet which has been discovered. And they start calculating and they discover that they find out that after some time, this comet can be seen not just with telescope, not necessarily with telescope, but with the naked eye. And you can see it and so on. So they trace its movement, and so it becomes a major discovery. And there's one tradition in the scientific world, in the astronomical world, and that is, if you discover a comet and you are the first person to discover it, the comet will be given your name. And so this comet came to be known as the Datta comet. Comet Datta. That becomes news all over the world. Now, Indrani Devi is very unhappy. In a sense, Datta is also unhappy because lots of people start coming to him, asking him questions, interviewing him, taking him on the television, this, that. And he is disgusted. He says, oh my God, I wish I had not even found this or discovered this comet. It's so disgusting. And Indrani Devi also says, yes, I agree with you. You should not have discovered this comet. And why not? She says, I have my own reasons. And what are the reasons? What is the big reason that she has? Look at the middle of the page there. She says, comets bring ill luck, and if I wish a good man like you were not associated with the discovery of one. There is a strong belief that when you see a comet in the sky and when you see them, oh, many people say, some important person is dead. That's a very important superstition. That's a very important belief. But many people believe in that. And Indrani Devi also believes in that. And so she says, you know, you're a good man. Why did you discover this comet? Oh, why did I discover this comet? Now Datta is wondering, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? I have discovered it. And is that wrong on my part? We will see what happens. Very good. He tries to tell her, look at the last paragraph down there. There is nothing harmful about them. You know, you will soon see this comet of mine pass harmlessly by causing no anxiety to anybody. There is a small thing there. Is Datta so confident that there will be no harm? You don't know, because a comet can fly anywhere in the sky. And until you are sure that our Earth, our planet, is not going to be hit by a comet, we are safe. But is he sure about it? Not very sure about it right now, but anyway, that's what he says. So let's look at some of the comprehension check questions now, shall we? Okay, look at page 77, top of page 77. Why does Indrani Devi dislike Datta Das hobnobbing with Divya? Hobnobbing, playing with Divya. Why doesn't she like it? Oh, she doesn't like it. Every night he would be sitting there in the balcony looking at the stars and sky for hours together. She is complaining and smiling. Why is she smiling? She is complaining and smiling. She knows it. She knows that nothing can happen to this man. So you can see the rest of the questions there, and then you can answer them yourselves later on. Let's move on to part 2 and see what happens in part 2. Shall we read those 3 points up there? A British scientist writes a paper based on Datta Das' discovery. Somebody, a British scientist, writes a paper. He and defense science advisor have a tete-a-tete over an impending calamity. What's a tete-a-tete? Tete-a-tete is a French expression. It means meeting. A meeting is called a tete-a-tete, called tete-a-tete, tete-a-tete. Fine. So they have a meeting. A conference of international experts might yield a clue to the cosmic puzzle. So this comet, whether it's going to hit the earth or not, that can be understood better by a conference, an international conference of scientists, astronomers, everybody. 3 points, remember. Okay, British scientist writes a paper based on Datta Das' discovery, and he and defense secretary have a meeting, and there is a plan for an international conference. Good. All right. Now, this scientist is Dr. Fawcett, and his full name is James, and then says, Dr. Fawcett, look at that letter out there. This person is bringing you a letter, and he is asking you to immediately come over to London. They are all in Cambridge, in King's College, Cambridge, which is a very important center for astronomical studies. And Dr. Fawcett is being invited to London and says, you have to come and meet the defense advisor to the British government immediately and tomorrow morning itself. So start now. So that's what got said. So James Fawcett, the scientist, is asked to come to London. He comes there. He meets with Sir John Macpherson, who is the defense advisor, a secretary and a defense advisor to Government of Britain, Her Majesty's government. So James comes to meet Sir John. They meet. What has happened here is something very interesting. James Fawcett, a very important astronomer, has looked at the track of the comet, Comet Datta. He has seen, he has done calculations. He has found out how much time it's going to take to move from one point to another. And he has also discovered another very important detail, and that is that this comet on this particular day is going to hit the earth. And you know what it means. If it hits the earth, our planet, and if it hits the planet, that's the end of humanity. All of us will die because it's such a powerful hit. So he has done the calculations and found it out, and he has also written a paper, and that paper is going to be published tomorrow. Now, that paper, when it is published, will be an international news, and everybody will start wondering, oh my God, if James Fawcett says it, then it's bound to happen. And if it's bound to happen, then what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? And there will be chaos, there will be confusion, there will be a lot of disturbance all over the earth, everywhere. And so Sir John calls James, says, come here, sit, let's talk. You know, your paper, here it is, have a look at it. This is your copy of the paper. I have got it from the publisher who is a friend of mine, and he has sent it to me. I want you to see it. So, yeah, this is my paper. Anything wrong with it? Any problem with my calculation? What I have said, is it wrong? Says Sir John, the advisor, says nothing of the sort. But you know, if you publish this article, what is going to happen on this earth? There will be confusion, there will be problems. Do you want that to happen? I don't want that to happen. Are you sure that it is going to hit the earth? Oh, James has to think. He thinks. He says, yes, it will hit the earth, but it can be prevented under certain special circumstances. It can be somehow prevented. Oh, Sir John is very happy. What are those cases? And they have a talk. What? How to prevent it. But James says, sir, good, I know how well you know, and I know how well you understand, but you know, preventing that comet from hitting the earth will require a little more thinking. So I think rather than just two people, if there are more people who sit together and think, maybe we can find some solution. For that we will need a conference, and we need it very soon. But I don't think we can do it very soon, Forsyth says. James Forsyth says, how can we do it so soon? Calling all the people from all over the world. Sir John says, you don't worry about that. I will take care. And a conference is planned for the next week. Oh, Sir John is very efficient. So, there is a conference planned very soon. There are some important words down there. Would you like to take a look at that? Deferentially on page 77. Have you seen the word? Say it again. Deferentially, deference, deferentially, with great respect. Good. And the next page has quite a few more, and you can take a look at that. But I want you to look at one very important word, manuscript. You should know this word. All of you, it's very important for you, whatever we write. What's a manuscript? A paper, a book, not yet printed. A manuscript is something which is not yet printed. When you have it in the handwritten form or the typed form or the computer printed form, but not yet put in the form of a book, is what we call a manuscript. So all of you prepare manuscripts when you write your notes and things, and also write in the examination and so on. Good. Last word there, aspersions. What are aspersions? Harsh remarks. Okay, all right. So, they all plan to have this, and there is all this will, the discussion starts, and when the discussion starts it says, you know, page 79, Sir John has a few doubts. James, what will happen if the comet were to come this side and so on? Is the collision inevitable? Look at the top of the page. Look at third paragraph. Is the collision inevitable? That means it cannot be stopped. No, it can be stopped under some rare circumstances. What are those rare circumstances? Well, you know, it might, look at that next paragraph. It might collide with some asteroid before reaching here. That's one possibility. or it might just split up when it is near the sun, too hot, or it might just evaporate. These are the possibilities. Oh, so it is possible to stop all these things. But James is also very cautious. Look at that next paragraph. But one can't count on these fortuitous circumstances. What is fortuitous circumstances? Look at the bottom of the page. Happening by chance. So one cannot count on these, things which can happen by chance. We have to proceed very carefully. We have to proceed assuming that comet Datta will collide with the earth. That's it. We have to assume that. All these, collisions in between vapor and all those things are just chances. But the reality is that it will collide with the earth. So, cometary collisions are expected to occur once in 10 million years. But now we know that the next one will occur in 1 year. Comet Datta will come here within 1 year. 10 months to be precise. Yeah, we have only 10 months time. Okay, all right. And so, can we do something about it? Okay, how do we prevent this from happening? Right, let's hold a conference, and the important thing here is that this conference should be held secretly. Nobody should know about it. All right? So people should not know that we are holding this conference, trying to stop, and I'll use a different word here, avert, change this comet from hitting the earth. And so we are holding this conference very soon, and this will be held, within 1 week, and there will be a conference of scientists, other experts, and all of them are going to come here, and we will have this very secret conference, and we'll take some decisions there. All right, so that is the decision for the moment. Let's look at the comprehension check questions. Look at the comprehension check questions on page 80. Turn to page 80. How did Sir John get hold of James' original manuscripts? How did he get hold of them? His friend, the publisher, sent him those manuscripts. So he got hold of them very secretly. I'll read those questions next. What is the important point? What is the important point that the paper makes? That there will be a collision. Why does Sir John say that James' paper should not be published? You know the answer. Of course, very good. What do the two men finally decide to do? What's the final decision? The final decision is to hold an international conference. Now, that is the end of part 1. Before we close, I want to mention a few words, and you must quickly remember all that is associated with those words. Are you ready? Good. Listen very carefully. Manoj Datta. Good. Astronomer. One who studies stars and so on. Amateur. Telescope. And what was this? Binocular. Some people say binocular. Both are accepted. You can either say binocular or binocular. Tracking comets. Comet Datta. James Forsyth. Sir John Macpherson. Catastrophe. Conference of experts. Got them? Can you recall all these words and expressions? I'm sure you are now fairly familiar with Comet Datta. Let's see what happens next in the next lesson, Comet 2. Shall we? Good. Right. Remember whatever we have said, and we'll come back to the next session. Thank you.